1999, Stars vs. Sabres, the foot in the crease. Sabres fans haven't slept right since this one. It's triple overtime, Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final, and Brett Hull scores the cup-winning goal, with his foot sitting in the blue paint. At the time, the rule said no player could be in the crease unless the puck was there first. Hull wasn't, but the NHL said, nope, that one counts. Because of some secret memo nobody had ever heard of. Buffalo's bench was stunned, the cup was handed over, and to this day, fans still say they were robbed blind. Just ask anyone in Western New York. They'll explain it to you like it happened yesterday, and they might cry while doing it. 2004, Flames versus Lightning, the goal that never was Game 6. Stanley Cup Final. Flames are up 3-2 in the series, and late in the game, Martin Gelinas deflects a puck toward the net. It hits, Khabibulin bounces off his pad, and then maybe crosses the line. The puck disappears under his skate right near the post. No goal called, no review, no cup for Calgary. Tampa Bay ties the game, wins in double overtime, and then takes Game 7. Flames fans swear they saw that puck cross the line in HD in their nightmares and in grainy freeze frames for 20 years. That one play could have ended it all. Instead, it still haunts the Saddle Dome. 1993, Kings versus Canadiens, McSorley's illegal stick. This one flipped an entire Stanley Cup final. The Kings are leading Game 2 with minutes left when Montreal calls out Marty McSorley for using an illegal stick. Too much curve. The refs check, and boom, penalty. Habs score on the power play, then again in overtime. They go on to win the next 3 in the Cup. LA fans still think it was a setup, like the Canadiens had a spy on the bench measuring stick curves. Meanwhile, Montreal fans treat it like genius warfare. It was petty, it was sneaky, and it changed everything. 1986, Oilers versus Flames, Steve Smith's own goal. This one wasn't a bad call, it was just heartbreaking. Game 7, the Oilers are a dynasty, expected to roll to another cup. Then Steve Smith, a rookie defenseman, tries to make a simple pass from behind his own net, and accidentally banks the puck off his goalie Grant Fuhr and into the net. It ends up being the game winner for the other team. The Flames go on, the Oilers go home, and Smith becomes Canadian sports tragedy #1 overnight. Gretzky cried, Smith cried, Edmonton cried. Even now, people call it one of the worst mistakes in playoff history, and it happened on his birthday. 2007, Ducks vs. Red Wings, Pronger's elbow. That got ignored, Chris Pronger could have been arrested for this hit. In the Western Final, he absolutely launches his elbow into Thomas Holmstrom's face. Straight up WWE stuff. There's blood, there's outrage, and somehow, no suspension. He got away with it. Holmstrom needed stitches, Detroit fans wanted justice, and the NHL basically shrugged. Anaheim wins the series, wins the cup, and Pronger lifts the trophy like nothing happened. Fans still bring this up every time someone gets suspended for sneezing near the boards. How he didn't get at least a game is one of hockey's great mysteries. 2010, Blackhawks versus Flyers, Kane's Invisible Cup. Winner Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final. Patrick Kane rips a shot in overtime, it slides under the pad, hits the net cam, and no one sees it. Not the goalie, not the refs, not the crowd, just Kane. He starts celebrating while everyone else stands around confused. It took a full minute before people realized, wait, that was the cup-winning goal. No buzzer, no red light, just awkward silence and one dude skating around like a madman. Flyers fans were still trying to figure out what happened by the time Chicago was lifting the cup. 2011, Canucks versus Bruins, goalie interference or just chaos. The 2011 final was war. There were hits, fights, suspensions. But the real controversy? Goalie interference. Luongo was getting bulldozed, Thomas was flopping like a fish, and nobody knew what the rules actually were. One game it's a penalty, the next it's not. Vancouver couldn't score, fans started blaming the refs, and Luongo ended up melting down in the media. Boston ran them over in Game 7, and the riot in Vancouver made headlines for weeks. But for Canucks fans, it wasn't just a loss, it was a series full of missed calls and mixed messages, especially in the crease. 2013, Leafs vs. Bruins, the Game 7 meltdown. No Leafs fan ever forgets this. Up 4-1 with 10 minutes left in Game 7, it was finally going to happen. Then, the collapse. Boston scores 3 goals in under 8 minutes, sends it to overtime and wins it. But what fans remember most isn't just the choke, it's how the game was managed. No timeout, questionable icing calls, physical plays that weren't called both ways. Toronto fans blame coaching, the refs, the hockey gods, maybe even the ice itself. It was trauma, the kind that gets passed down to the next generation. 2014, Kings versus Blackhawks. The offside that wasn't reviewed, Game 7. Overtime, Winner goes to the Cup final. The Kings score a beauty. Only problem is, it might have been offside. Like camera freeze frame kind of offside, but back then you couldn't review it. So the goal stands, LA goes to the final, and the NHL spends the offseason scrambling to change the rules. Hawks fans were livid. And now, every time there's a close zone entry in OT, this play gets dragged out of the archives like a warning sign. Remember when this wasn't reviewable? Yeah, so do Chicago fans. Loudly. 2015 Canadiens vs. Lightning goalie interference madness. This one was a mess. Game 6, the Habs score a huge goal to stay alive, except it's waved off for goalie interference. Carey Price had been bumped all series without calls, but now the refs suddenly decide to care the other way around. Nobody knew what counted anymore. Montreal fans lost their minds, even commentators were confused. One night you can bulldoze a goalie and it's fine, the next night you breathe near the crease and it's disallowed. It felt like the rule was made up on the spot, and spoiler, it kind of was. 2017 Penguins vs. Senators, offside. Before the OT winner, Eastern Conference Final, Game 7, double overtime. Chris Kunitz scores the game winner to send the Pens to the Cup Final, but go back and watch the play. People still argue that it was offside. Refs never reviewed it. Ottawa fans haven't let this go because it was their closest shot at the final in years. Instead, Pittsburgh wins the Cup and Kunitz becomes a playoff hero. Sens fans, they get nothing but freeze frames, pain, and what-ifs. 2019 Sharks vs. Golden Knights, the 5-minute meltdown Game 7. Vegas is up 3-0 with 10 minutes to go. Then Cody Eakin takes a face-off, bumps Joe Pavelski, and he awkwardly falls, hits his head, starts bleeding, and the refs give Eakin a 5-minute major. Nobody even saw the hit clearly, but that didn't matter. The Sharks score 4 goals on the power play. Yes, 4. They win the game, the series, and fans in Vegas are still screaming about it. It was the biggest blown call of that year, maybe the decade. Even the NHL admitted afterward, yeah, we messed up. 2023 Oilers vs. Golden Knights, the high stick that never got called. Leon Draisaitl gets smacked in the face with a stick. He's bleeding. It's obvious. It happens right in front of the ref and nothing gets called. 10 seconds later, Vegas scores. You could hear Oilers fans losing their minds in real time. Social media exploded. Even people who didn't like Edmonton were like, yeah, that's a penalty. But nope, nothing. Vegas goes on to win the game and the series, and for Oilers fans, that no call is right up there with the worst ones they've ever seen. 2024 Leafs vs. Bruins, disallowed goal and no call trip. Of course we're ending with the Leafs and Bruins. Game 7, again, Toronto scores what looks like the tying goal, and it gets called back for the tiniest goalie interference. Then, a few minutes later, Brad Marchand straight up trips Matthew Knies on a breakaway. No call, none. Bruins win. Leafs fans rage. It felt like the hockey gods were just trolling them at this point. And if you ask any Leafs fan today what happened in Game 7, they'll just say one word: rigged. 2020 Leafs vs. Blue Jackets, puck over glass and no call on Tavares. The bubble playoffs were weird, but this one still stings. Game 5, win or go home. John Tavares breaks loose on a clean chance and gets hooked right before the net. No call. Then, moments later, the Leafs get hit with a puck over glass penalty for something barely over the boards. From a clear scoring chance to 2 minutes in the box in 20 seconds. Leafs fans were furious. The comeback died right there. And yeah, it was the bubble, but pain still counts. 2012 Kings vs. Coyotes, Dustin Brown's no call hit. This was brutal. Game 5 of the Western Final, tie game, Coyotes pushing. Then Dustin Brown absolutely destroys Mikulek from behind into the boards. No puck, no mercy, no call. The refs just let it slide. And of course, LA scores the series winner right after. Coyotes fans were screaming. Even some Kings fans were like, yeah, that probably should have been a penalty. It was the last time Phoenix came close to the final, and they still think the league didn't want them there. 2021 Canadiens vs. Golden Knights, the glove toss that got ignored. You've seen broken sticks stop plays, but a glove? Game 3, OT. Alec Martinez lines up a chance, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi literally throws his broken glove into the lane to block it. That's a penalty, like written right in the rule book. But the refs missed it, let play continue, and Montreal ends up winning in overtime. Vegas fans lost it. Kotkaniemi tossed a glove and got away with it. It was hockey's weirdest block, and a moment that probably changed the series. 1983, Oilers vs. Islanders, the too many men that nobody saw. This one's ancient, but still spicy. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Oilers score what should have been the go-ahead goal, then suddenly the refs call too many men. Even now, footage barely shows it. Power play for the Islanders. They score. Edmonton's momentum dies. Isles sweep the series. Gretzky was fuming. He said they never recovered from that one moment. And to this day, some old-school fans swear that penalty came out of thin air. 2002, Leafs versus Hurricanes. Gary Roberts gets mugged overtime. Game 6, Leafs fighting to stay alive. Gary Roberts is parked behind the net when he gets completely mugged, stick in the ribs, hauled down, everything short of a folding chair to the face. No penalty, not even a second look. Seconds later, Carolina scores. Game over. Series over. Leafs fans were already full of playoff trauma, and this just poured gasoline on it. Ask anyone in Toronto, they'll say Roberts got assaulted and the refs were in on it.